Jesse! Jesse! We have a problem.
Yo, what's wrong, Mr. White?
The federal government, Jesse. It's falling apart.
Oh no, what happened to it?
It was all flawed from the start. You gave the states too much power with the Articles of Confederation. They can't get anything done, Jesse.
Ah, Mr. White, what are we gonna do?
Don't worry, Jesse. I have a plan.
What's this paper for, Mr. White?
This is where we're gonna write a new founding document.
Yeah! But how we arranged?
We'll start with the preamble. It's where we'll explain the purpose of our Constitution and the goals it's trying to achieve. Things like protecting our citizens and protecting liberty.
I got it. Hand me a pen, Mr. White.
Well done, Jesse. Next we'll write the articles, each explaining a different part of our government.
No.
Yeah. Articles 1 through 3 will explain the 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial.
Yo, that makes sense, Mr. White. Multiple branches of government, so no one has complete control. Like some kind of system of checks and balances.
Exactly right, Jesse.
Hand me that pen again. But how does the system stop the states from fighting, like they did under the Articles of Confederation?
Article 4 of the Constitution will lay out the ways the states and the federal government interact with each other. It will do things like make all states respect each other's rights, gives Congress the ability to make new states, and guarantees the state's safety from domestic or foreign invasion.
Alright, sounds good, Mr. White. So what's next?
We'll get to Article 5 later. For now, let's skip to Article 6. This article establishes that federal law is supreme over all others, except for the Constitution. This includes federal legislation and Supreme Court rulings. It will also prohibit religious tests as a requirement for office.
But how will we tell if they're a good Christian?
Think, Jesse. We need a strong separation of church and state.
You're right, Mr. White.
Article 7 is simple. It'll just explain that at least 9 states need to ratify the Constitution for it to go into effect.
Hell yeah! But wait, Mr. White, what if these rules don't work out? How will the Constitution adapt to future changes?
It's great you asked, Jesse. Remember Article 6? It explains the amendment process.
What's that?
It's how we'll change the government in the future. If 2/3 of the House and Senate, or 2/3 of state legislature agree to put an amendment onto the Constitution up for consideration, the amendment process can begin. Then the House and Senate can vote, and if it ends up in a 3/4 majority to ratify it, it will be signed in. Otherwise, 3/4 of the states can agree through either their legislatures or a special constitutional convention.
Sounds tough!
It is, but this means the Constitution will stay strong far into the future.
But what if times change too quickly for the amendment process to work?
That's where the Supreme Court comes in. They're there to reinterpret the Constitution's wording so it always remains relevant. Amendments only need to happen when one becomes necessary. There we have it, a federalist system, free from the dangers of a unitary and a confederate government.
Great, but what do these words mean, Mr. White?
Well, Jesse, governments differ based on where their power is centralized. In a unitary government, power is entirely located in the national government. Think Great Britain and Spain.
Ah, shit, we don't want that.
Of course not. But we just found out we can't give all the power to the states either, like we did in the Articles of Confederation.
So what do we do?
We give all the states control over their own territories, but they all have to listen to the national government.
But how will the government be in check?
Through Congress, Jesse. The states will be split up into districts based on population, and each district will get a representative. I call it the Virginia Plan.
Wait, hold on, Mr. White. That'll make it so the big states like Virginia and Massachusetts will just push around the small states around. They'll have more power in the legislature. I say each state gets 2 representatives in Congress. That way, they all have a fair say. I call it the New Jersey Plan.
But then the small states will have disproportionate power when making laws. Alright, how about this? We'll have 2 chambers of Congress, a House and a Senate. The House will be made up of representatives from each district, and the Senate will have 2 senators from each state. That way, states with more people will have more influence over the House, but small states will have equal power in the Senate.
Hell yeah! We can call it the Connecticut Compromise.
Great, Jesse. Now we can move on to the last part of the process, deciding which powers will go to the national and federal governments.
How will we do that?
There'll be 5 different types of powers: enumerated, implied, reserved, concurrent, and denied. Enumerated powers will be specifically entailed in the Constitution for the federal government to wield. These powers include building a national military, setting up post offices and mail routes, and minting currency. Implied powers will be those that are necessary for the government to exercise its enumerated powers, like buying land for federal buildings, buying materials for currency, and contracting for the military.
What about the things that aren't specified in the Constitution, Mr. White?
According to the 10th Amendment, these powers will be given to the states, called reserved powers. Reserved powers include building roads, setting up emergency services, and funding education.
That makes sense. What if a power needs to be done at a state and federal level?
Those are concurrent powers, like law enforcement, establishing courts, and levying taxes.
Now that I think about it, doesn't that mean the states can just do anything the national government can't?
We'll prevent that with denied powers, Jesse. Powers that are specifically barred from use in the Constitution. We don't want the states doing things like declaring war or Congress giving people titles of nobility.
That's right. We've made both of those mistakes before.
Now that everything's written down, we can finally put our new government in place. Who's that? Hello, Jesse and Walter. I've run into a problem. All of the people I sell illegal drugs to are being arrested by the police. How will this new government handle my predicament?
That sucks, man. The state shouldn't be imprisoning those people for nonviolent crime.
Something has to be done about this, Jesse. We need to decide who has jurisdiction over drug arrests.
Yeah, Mr. White.
We need to consider who is at fault for the crimes, and which government will be able to most effectively combat them.
Well, according to this article, there was recently a large drug bust handled by the DEA, the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration. The bust secured 400 kilograms of cocaine from a large organization. In 2016, a local police department focused on low-level drug crimes and arrested 7 people, all of which were buying meth, not in possession of it. It took drug abusers off of the street, but it didn't solve the overall problem.
Wait a minute. I don't want large-scale drug enforcement. That would mean I get arrested. This can't be constitutional. Well, Gus, the over-enforcement of low-level drug crime leads to disproportionate minority arrests. According to the 14th Amendment, no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. That is to say, no group should be more targeted by the law than any other. By giving the power to enforce drug arrests to the national government, we're making it easier to focus on the sources of these problems rather than individual victims of drug abuse. You'll pay for this, Walter and Jesse.
What a day, Mr. White. Finally, we have a big government. Good name, finger. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.